Hi, my name is Todd Cullen.
I'm Lucy LaValley.
And I'm Ruth Scrabeck, and our topic is Teachers in the United States. Are they paid enough?
Disclaimer, this video will contain strong, explicit language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Introduction.
There has always been debate regarding teachers' salary in the United States. However, this debate seems to be coming to a head after several states' teachers began to demand higher salary.
Citizens in the United States have a constitutional right to a free and appropriate education. Because of this, the conversation around this topic now revolves around one question. Are teachers paid a living wage in correlation to the work that they do?
We analyzed 3 different sources talking about this issue. The Time article by Katie Riley, I'm a Teacher in America, a USA Today article by Sean Rossman, Teachers are striking all over, what's going on? And finally, an article on the website Niche, titled Teacher Salaries in America.
As a group, we feel that these 3 articles fairly and accurately represent both sides of the debate.
Looking at teacher salary through CDA.
To analyze, we will be using critical discourse analysis, or CDA. CDA is defined as analyzing the details of text to reveal what kinds of discourse are being presented to readers. Adding in the critical aspect to discourse means that we are directly focusing on what is and is not said.
This analysis found 2 common discourse communities, quality teaching and teachers as civil servants. In summary, we will do the following 3 things. Classify the views of the public according to 2 reoccurring discourse communities, show examples of how these communities reinforce their argument using metaphor, modality, ambiguity, and other forms of communication discourse, and cross-reference our findings in relation to where the argument is found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
In addition to the 2 common discourse communities, we identified 6 binaries within the comments. These include pro-institution versus anti-institution, teachers create a better future versus teachers affect only the present, teachers knew what they were getting into salary-wise versus it doesn't matter whether they knew or not, teachers don't work a full calendar year versus it doesn't matter that they don't work a full calendar year, civil servants versus distinctly teachers, and everybody deserves more.
Looking at the articles.
Some background information. Teachers across the country have been protesting and rallying over low salaries and lack of materials for their students. Surprisingly, many of these rallies are taking place in red states.
Red states are states that are Republican or conservative-led.
When discussing the government's own actions, regardless of who is president, it seems that everything is being done as a response to teachers. In the USA Today article, children were only mentioned briefly. This was to point out that many students did not attend school while the teachers were striking.
Now let's delve deeper into this issue. Let's look at the discussion regarding the salary of teachers in the United States and if it is as complicated as it seems. The main argument is that money either will or will not be helpful in improving the quality of education in the United States.
Both articles also heavily relied on the use of metaphor to drive home the idea of this issue being warlike. For example, the Time article uses words such as rallying, rising, and demanding to describe the actions of teachers. The USA Today article contains similar words describing the teachers' actions as fighting and forced.
Both articles use ambiguity to place teachers against the government. Ambiguity is used in discourse to create a desired perception by not mentioning information.
For example, students are at the center of education, but are only mentioned once in the USA Today article. They are never mentioned in the Time article. Students are only mentioned when talking about the negative effects of teacher strikes, which makes teachers appear as though they do not care about their students when they strike.
Let's look at Niche, a website dedicated to teacher salaries in America. It's full of graphs and charts.
As you can see, these are the starting salaries and average salaries of each state in the United States. This is very useful to know because it allows us to compare the wages of multiple states.
Niche also compares the salaries of public and private school. Surprisingly, public school teachers make more than private school teachers. So why are private school teachers not striking as well?
Turning to social media.
After reading articles and blog posts, we turned to social media. As stated before, we looked at specific binaries, pro-institution versus anti-institution. Teachers create a better future versus teachers affect only the present. Teachers knew what they were getting into salary-wise versus it doesn't matter whether they knew or not. Teachers don't work a full calendar year versus it doesn't matter that they don't work a full calendar year. Civil servants versus distinctly teachers, and everybody deserves more.
We looked at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to read what people's thoughts on the Time articles were.
The first binary we will discuss from the Instagram comments is pro-institution versus anti-institution. There were many comments that fit into this binary. One comes from Instagram user Esther Kanghan, who said, "In San Diego, it's about $80,000 after 8 years with a master's. And we have a pension after retiring, so I honestly don't think our pay is that low. It's different in other states though, but the cost of living in San Diego is very high. Average 3-bedroom home cost is close to $800,000. This comment shows lack of certainty by the use of words such as about and don't think. It also shows some certainty by the use of the verb is. This comment is in the middle. She's closer to anti-institution in that she doesn't initially believe that she needs a raise, but her lack of certainty shows that she starts to doubt whether the salary is fair at the end of her comment. Her modality shows that even she believes that she could use a raise. Even a teacher who initially believes that she makes enough towards the end, her modality in the lack of certainty shows that she too feels that she would like a raise too and could make more.
Another comment comes from Facebook user Maria Taylor. One key point from her comment is others, not just teachers, are in the same position. So all the talk about the economy being better than ever and Wall Street breaking records and the great big tax break giving to corporations means nothing to people working 2 or 3 jobs. People with no 401k to invest in the market. This is what real Americans struggle with daily.
In this part of her comment, Maria Taylor is using a type of path metaphor. Others are in the same position. Teachers and people in their professions are starting at the same point on their path or are at a point where they are stuck. She's saying that the low salary is like being trapped. Maria also makes some anti-institution comments here. She says that the economy being better and Wall Street breaking records doesn't mean anything to people who work multiple jobs and who don't have enough money to invest in the stock market. She says this is what real Americans struggle with, which strikes up an us versus them mentality. Us being real Americans who work multiple jobs and no money to spare, and them being big business or possibly those within the middle class.
Another point that she makes is, by the way, those of you who are so opposed to unions either forget or don't even know that the reason your work week is made up of 40 hours, the reason you are paid overtime if you have a job with a company that follows the law, the reason you have yearly vacations and maybe a pension or 401k is thanks to the unions who fought for these things for the sake of the Americans. You might not belong to one, but at some point your parents and or your grandparents did to make your life better. A lot is said in this part of the comment. Some things that were picked out are that Maria again picks up the us versus them theme, which deepens the divide between real Americans and those with plenty of money, presumably the middle or upper classes, through her use of the word you. Another thing that Maria does is that she uses the metaphor that unions are like soldiers in order to underline the importance of unions and their significance. She says the unions fought for these things, work week being made up of 40 hours, overtime pay, yearly vacations, a pension for 401k, for the sake of the Americans.
Next, we looked at the binary that teachers create a better future versus teachers affect only the present. The first comment that supports this binary comes from Instagram user I am Luminescent Queen, who said, "I'm beginning to think that the USA just doesn't value education, and this is the reason why teachers are underpaid. I can also argue that perhaps it's because the profession is dominated by women, most likely, and we all know how that works sadly. The writer of this comment brings up an interesting ethos that mostly women are teachers and that women, historically, make less in salary than men. We all know how that works sadly. The writer also seems to have a low degree of certainty in this first part of their comment. They use words and phrases such as, I am beginning to think, perhaps and most likely. They also are slightly vague when they say, we all know how that works sadly, which we took to mean that the author was referencing the fact that men make more money than women.
I am Luminescent Queen continues, just remember when people are happy, they perform better, and money makes people happy. Let that marinate for a second. No teacher with a master's degree and years of experience should get paid under $100K per year. That should be a base salary for this profession. Here, the author moves on to the metaphor that money is like motivation. The more money a person makes, the happier they will be and the better they will perform their job. They are also in agreement with the Time article that teachers deserve to be paid more.
I Am Luminescent Queen concludes their comment with, "Side note, this is a total disgrace to the greatest country in the world who should be well aware that education is the key to their future success. End note, let's get it together, America, so we can be number one in the world for education." This final portion of the comment has a high degree of certainty. This is a total disgrace, and education is the key to their future success. This means that the modality of the author has changed from the beginning. At first, the author was uncertain about what they were saying, possibly because they did not have facts. At the end, the author was highly certain, most probably because the final portion of the comment is the author's own feelings, which they have a high conviction of.
The next comment that we looked at comes from Facebook user Donna Owen. Donna started off by saying, "A teacher inspires and educates future doctors, lawyers, construction workers, architects, manufacturing technicians, teachers, administrators, chief executive officers, truck drivers, firefighters, police officers, congressional leaders, and presidential candidates. Their job is your society's future." Here, Donna states different professions that are impacted by teachers. This is what puts her into this binary that teachers impact the future. It is also a path metaphor, that teachers are the start of the professional path or journey. Donna's certainty level is not clear in this first portion of her comment, but it is not low because she does not use any vague language.
Donna goes on to say that their job changes your future. Each teacher has a direct impact on your future, whether you have children or not. Their job is not just a job. It's a life, a personal investment, a financial investment, 4 years of college at the least, and an honor. Here, Donna is giving power to the teachers. She briefly mentions children, but her focus is on all of the things that the teachers does for society as a whole. Each teacher has a direct impact on your future, whether you have children or not. And on that, what teachers invest in their careers, she has a high degree of certainty shown through the use of is verbs.
Donna concludes by saying, "Yet in our beautiful country that loves to say that we are the best country in the world, our educators are grossly underpaid and our schools are understaffed. If we want to be the best of the best, then we need to make the investment ourselves and support teachers and education." Donna uses some onomatopoeia to give the country human-like qualities. Quote, "Our beautiful country that loves to say that we are the best country in the world," unquote. She also includes us versus them mentality, with us being our country and them being anybody who is not our country.
The third binary we analyze is that teachers knew what they were getting into salary-wise versus it doesn't matter whether they knew or not. On Facebook, Drew Straub commented, "Excuse me, did teaching pay well and then all of a sudden it didn't? Teachers have had a monopoly on woe is me. You knew going into it that it paid a certain wage and that is a choice you made. I hear no other average paying or average earning worker complain. To me, get over it. Get over yourself and your protected job. I may or may not make a fortune, but I have the same freedom of choice of profession as teachers. Want more money? Do something different. If you love what you do, great. Now just shut up about your earnings." Drew's argument lies in the fact that teachers should have known what their pay was before they pursued their profession. However, Drew's statement is ambiguous as he avoids stating how much he actually makes or what he does for a living. In addition, he tells teachers to shut up, suggesting teachers should not be able to justify why they deserve a higher salary.
On Instagram, Drift Nerd said in all caps, "Get a different job." Well, TJ_Robinson 1996 said, "Maybe you should have picked a different career." Both of these comments are straight to the point and suggest any other job would be better than being an educator.
On Facebook, Mabelette Burmack commented, "I know plenty of teachers who live quite well. There is more to this story. I would be curious as to where her money goes and what kind of bills she is working so hard to pay. If you spend a lot of money, you have a lot of bills and the need for more money. If you don't spend a lot of money, live within your means while making a decent salary. You don't have a lot of bills. Pretty basic. I'm curious as to how her salary stacks up against the median where she lives and how her lifestyle compares to others who have salaries similar to hers." This comment contains over-lexicalization. The word bill is used 3 times, while money is used 4 times. It is clear that Burmack simplifies the issue to teachers paying only for necessary bills. However, she does not consider other expenses that teachers may need to pay for. This could include supplies for the classroom, clothing, and other items.
We then looked at the binary that teachers don't work a full calendar year versus it doesn't matter that they don't work a full calendar year.
The next 3 comments were found on Twitter. SK Martin 59 comments, work full-time like everybody else. A base pay of $35K for 186 days becomes $50,322. A base of $40K becomes $55,913. I'm so tired of complaints, but then you still want your long holidays and summers off. It's tough for everyone right now.
Scott 6164437 commented, I work 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. with a 1 hour lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. I get the summer off with pay along with long Christmas, March break off, and several orientation days off with an average salary of $45,622 according to the National Education Association. I'm a teacher in America.
Both comments base their argument on salary in relation to days off teachers do not work. Scott over-lexicalizes and simplifies his argument with the repetition of the word off. However, he fails to mention that many other professions often get the same holidays off that teachers do. Scott also aims to use sarcasm to portray his point that teachers make a livable wage.
While the previous comments used numbers to justify their arguments, A. Pratela 94 took a different approach. She said, actually, many teachers work during the summer and take courses to improve their skills and content knowledge. Also, many grade assignments and develop lesson plans during evenings and weekends. Then, those working with students with moderate to severe disabilities are absolute heroes.
This user argues that teachers still complete work in the summer, even if they are not at school. She uses productive verbs such as take courses, improve skills, and develop lesson plans. However, her argument completely changes as she ends her tweet talking about special education teachers. While she acknowledges the hard work they do, this thought does not connect to her previous sentence.
The 5th binary we looked into is civil servants versus distinctly teachers. The comments that we found that support this are, our teachers should be the highest paid occupation. Schools should get the most money to support the best education in all areas. It's sinful what happens now. By her use of capitalization and exclamation marks, it is clear that this commenter, Marie Lane Rose, very strongly leans towards teachers.
The next comment reads, it's disgraceful how underappreciated our teachers are. They have a tremendous job. All teachers should be paid more than a babysitter. Shame on the USA. Get it together. The use of powerful words such as disgraceful and tremendous show just how strongly this commenter feels about teachers not being paid enough.
The next comment is from a teacher who is explaining her story about being paid too little. I taught full course loads as an adjunct at 2 colleges for several years, but had to quit because I couldn't pay the bills. My rent is $1,175 for a 2-bedroom in a small Louisiana town. I qualified for food stamps and hadn't bought new clothes in over a decade. My only real expenses were medical bills, insurance, rent, and utilities. When my transmission went out, I realized how unsustainable the profession was. Now I bartend, making good use of that graduate education, and make 3 times as much as I did spending 90 hours a week grading and lesson planning and mentoring students. The fact that I make more money getting people drunk than I did as an educator says a lot about our culture's values. As you can see, she leans towards the teacher's side of this binary.
The last binary we analyze is everybody deserves more. The comments that support this claim include, it's not just teachers, it's millions of hardworking people, myself included, who work hard every day and struggle to survive. This commenter not only believes that teachers should earn more, but so does every other occupation. The next comment believes that teachers need to stop complaining because their job is not as hard as the job of soldiers. Thinking you make a shitload more than your average soldier who risks a hell of a lot more. Quit your bitching and teach. If you're unhappy, find another job. Last time I checked, you are free to get another. That commenter even states that teachers are free to get another job if they are unhappy with the amount they make. The next commenter is not in favor of teachers getting a pay raise. They say, This is absolutely ridiculous. She makes $55,000 in rural New York and complains. I know college graduates who make less and work year-round. They do not sell their plasma or have multiple weeks and summers off. If teachers' pay increases, then everyone else's will too. That commenter uses their other friends as examples by saying that they have degrees and work more than a teacher but make less than a teacher. Therefore, they are saying teachers have no reason to be complaining.
Our analysis shows comments both for and against raising teachers' pay. For example, one commenter said, "Our teachers should be the highest paid occupation. Schools should get the most money to support the best education in all areas. It's sinful what happens now." Well, another showed no sympathy when they commented, "Get a different job."
Even teachers themselves commented both for and against it. Some explained that where they live and teach, it's easy to get by on a teacher's salary. Others expressed that they have to work multiple jobs to make ends meet.
Throughout our analysis, we uncovered two discourse communities that were those of quality teaching and teachers as civil servants.
The country is relatively divided on this issue based on the majority of comments found on social media.
Conclusion.
The articles that were analyzed were sympathetic to teachers' plights. They tended to paint the picture that the teachers are preparing for a battle or are in the middle of one.
Through the use of metaphor, the articles attempted to make the readers side with or against teachers.
In contrast, the comments did not use much metaphor, instead they used strong verbiage. Many of the commenters seemingly provided facts and had strong convictions in their beliefs.
The ethical stance of our group after reading the articles on the different social media platforms is that civil servants, including teachers, deserve to be paid a living wage.